Thank you very much. There have been some funny people up here tonight, and I'm just going to kind of like lower the bar a little bit because I'm not funny, okay? I usually am the oldest person in the room, and I just think that the socially responsible thing for me to do is to sort of teach you some of life's lessons that I learned through like really painful processes, and that way you don't have to go through the same trauma that I did. And for example, don't believe everything you read. Anybody here like already figured that one out? Because you did? Okay, see, I hope that it wasn't as hurtful to you as it was to me. I do my heavy reading when I'm at the grocery store, at the checkout line. You know, there are all those newspapers that have like the news I'm really interested in, like, you know, who's breaking up with who's cheating on who's overweight, who's gotten cosmetic surgery. I mean, that's the stuff I care about. And, well, a while ago, there was a headline in one of these papers that said, vegetarian vampires discovered. They suck the sap from trees. And I was stunned, okay? I mean, here, you have this whole new species of animal or plant, I mean, who knows what. And my friends at work who are like all hoity-toity because they read Time and Newsweek, they didn't know anything about it, okay? You have to read my papers to know. And so the next day at work, I was kind of, you know, laying it on a little thick. I mean, anytime somebody walked by, I'd ask them, what do you think about those vegetarian vampires? And, you know, just let them know that they didn't know shit, you know? Well, by the end of the day, you know, this asshole Doug gets up, he's the guy in the cubicle next to me. He gets up and he says, Stache, I've been listening to you all day long carrying on about these vegetarian vampires, and I want you to know it doesn't add up. I said, oh yeah, Doug, you got a problem? He said, yeah. Okay, first of all, if the only thing that these creatures consume is tree sap, the correct word is vegan, not vegetarian. So right away, you know, the writer doesn't know what he's talking about. and it just doesn't work in terms of the balance of nature, okay? That you've got predators, they've got weapons, they attack. You've got prey, they have defenses. Now, what is a tree supposed to do when one of these vegetarian vampires shows up, okay? It can't run. It can't hide. It can't, like, you know, pretend it's a moth and just disappear. You would think in no time at all, the vegetarian vampires would have consumed the sap in all the trees in the world. But look outside the boss's window. There's a tree, it's got leaves, it's alive. Something doesn't add up. Wow. Okay, I mean, you know, Doug's an asshole, but you gotta agree, he really thought that one through. And I couldn't figure out how a respected publication like the Weekly World News could get a story that wrong, you know? And I couldn't think of anything else. I was just like mindlessly that night with the remote flipping through the channels, just focusing on this. And it sort of stopped at one of these, you know, dead zones. I think it was the Discovery Channel or something. And there was this feature about how to make maple syrup. And you had like all these old men, it was like cold fall day, and they were in the mountains of Vermont, and they had these buckets to collect tree sap and all that. And it occurred to me that, you know, they were old people and it was cold and they were like really moving stiffly. If you didn't have any sound on, you might think that you were looking at some zombies or vampires or something like that, okay? And I bet you that that's what happened, is that this reporter couldn't figure out how to undo the mute button, and he wrote the story, didn't know what he was writing about. That's the whole thing. Unless, of course, they really are vegetarian vampires, and they disguise themselves as Vermont farmers. Now that would be really bad, okay? Because I gotta tell you, the ones I saw, not only were they all old, they were all men. And so there would be like no way that the species could propagate itself. Unless they could like somehow like, you know, take real people and transform them. But they were in the mountains of Vermont, and there aren't a lot of people up there. So it would have to be something that they can do, like, you know, from a long distance. And the only thing that I can think of that they do long distance is this maple syrup that they make. And that would be really bad because, like, pancakes is my favorite meal. Okay, and I don't want to become a vegetarian vampire. I mean, look, you know, it would be one thing if you were born that way. You have a mother who, like, teaches you how to survive. But if you're like out here on 8th Street and you're suddenly transforming into a vegetarian vampire, you got to figure everything out on your own. You know, maybe there's like, you know, some trees you can consume them, others it like messes up your digestive system, and it will take you months to sort through all this, and the whole time you'd be barfing up the wrong trees. And You know, I probably would lose my job. I mean, I can just picture it now. You know, the boss comes out around noon. He says, "Hey, Stache, we're going to Mickey D's. You want to join us?" And I'd say, Nah, I'm just going to go to the park and chill. And like asshole Doug, he'd say, "Hey, you go to the park every day." And the boss would say, "Yeah, look out my window. It's like pouring rain right now." And then, you know, Doug would say something like, "And I've been to that park last week. It's like really funky. All the trees are dying." I mean, I think pretty soon they'd figure out what was going on. I'd lose my job. My family needs my income. I can't afford that. So I've stopped eating pancakes. And I gotta tell you, that hurts, because not only is it my favorite meal, but there's this diner near my house, and there's this like waitress there. I mean, she is awesome, Rosie, and not only is she awesome, but I'm her favorite customer. Okay, I know that because the moment I walk into that restaurant, the very first person that sees me shouts out, "Hey, Rosie, it's your favorite!" And whatever she's doing, she stops. And she grabs my hand and she walks me over to my table that's like in the middle of the restaurant, and runs back and starts getting all the food for me and everything. Big smile on her face. And, you know, I like to make a big deal about eating pancakes because it's a special event for me. And, you know, the diner's a nice place, but like they don't have tablecloths on the table, so I bring a tablecloth with me. And you know, I think that it's like really important to have like the right atmosphere, to have something pleasurable. And the nice thing is that we all have what we need to create pleasure. So I do that. Now, I don't know. Some of you may kind of figured out by now that I've got a few kind of, peccadillos, idiosyncrasies about me, and, one of them is that I can't stand to eat with silverware that has been in somebody else's mouth. It just doesn't matter how often it's been washed. I can't do it, okay? So I bring my own knife and fork with me. It's no big deal. And I know what you are thinking right now, okay? You're saying this is going to be a mess, okay? Not only is this pancake and syrup going to get all over this old dude's mustache, it's going to get all over his chest hairs too, right? I have it figured out, okay? I have a bib with me. Now, the weird thing is that some people seem to get all upset when I put on the bib. I guess they probably think that, like bibs are for babies, not for old dudes or something like that. And before I put my bib on, I just want to make sure that, is anybody going to have a problem if I wear a bib?
No.
No? Okay, okay. I just wanted to ask, okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I don't know why people get all upset. But, by the time now that I'm all ready to eat, Rosie's got my food ready and she brings it to me. And I love pancakes and I have a special way of eating them because I want to make sure that all the flavors get all mixed together properly. Okay, so I start off, I get the butter and I put it on the top bun, and I get some more butter and I slide it between the buns, I get it all nice and greasy. I take my sausage and I slip it between the bun, and I work it around, and I pull it out and in and out, and work it and work it. And at just the right moment, I pop it in my mouth and squeeze, and like the hot juices come squirting out, and on my chin. And I just get so happy and so excited that the amazing thing is that it's infectious. Like the whole restaurant feels my pleasure. I know that because I look anywhere I look. Everybody's looking at me, they have big smiles on their face, or they're laughing out loud. And how often are you in a room full of strangers and everybody's laughing? Right? It didn't happen tonight, right? And now, all of that's gone. I don't eat pancakes anymore. Rosie's lost her favorite customer. The customers at this restaurant, they don't have this shared pleasure anymore. And all because some writer couldn't figure out how to use the mute button on his remote. Which is why I'm telling you, don't believe everything you read. Whoa! Whoa! Hey, have you ever had this, some thought pop out of nowhere and just whiz through your head? Because right now, I was just thinking, if I want to impress Rosie, I should go suck on an oak tree or some other hard wood. And the funny thing is, I don't even know where to find an oak tree. I mean, my neighbor used to have one, but it started dying a few months ago, and they cut it down last week. Does anybody here know where I can find an oak tree? Mm-hmm. I mean, I really want to know where I can find an oak tree, okay? I mean, I've been here sharing important lessons about life with you all, and I would like to know, can you kind of give something back and let me know where I can find an oak tree? Oh, you guys are worthless, okay? I've had enough time with you. I'm Stache. Don't believe everything you read. Thank you.